Hi guys, glad you're able to spend some time in your life groups tonight. As we come to this week's part in the life of Jesus, we're in John chapter 10, where Jesus once again, he makes one of these massive claims about himself. He says, I am the good shepherd. And Jesus makes that claim within a context, something that was very well known to the people of Jesus' day. They lived in a gregarian culture. They lived with farming and animals all the time. And so he begins to talk about sheep and shepherds and how that relationship works. Particularly, he touches on the neediness of sheep and how much of their life, if it's going to be fruitful, absolutely depends on the shepherd. Philip Keller, a noted biblical writer and also an outdoorsman, he spent a lot of time out in a sheepfold. And what he noticed was that the sheep really need four things on a constant basis if they're going to thrive. They need freedom from fear. They need freedom from strife. They need freedom from pests like fleas, ticks, and things like that. And they need an abundance of food. They're such needy creatures, and it's a job of the shepherd to watch over them and to provide for all those things if they're going to function well, if they're going to be productive and very healthy. Jesus then starts to talk about how people are like sheep. And unfortunately, in the context where Jesus was speaking, he says, the shepherds of my sheep are not doing a very good job. And then he contrasts that with himself being the good shepherd. And he says a couple things in this passage that are really anchor points for everything else he's going to present about himself as the good shepherd. He says, I'm the good shepherd, and I lay down my life for the sheep. Of course, he's talking about the cross and forgiveness, but he's also talking about the constant daily protection of the sheep from lots of enemies, lots of potential problems. Jesus says, I will protect, and I will watch over them. And then a few verses later, in verse 14, he says, I'm the good shepherd. I know my sheep, and my sheep know me. He's not just a powerful creator God. He's a personal shepherd who knows well the condition of his flock. And so that impacts us greatly when we realize that we are sheep. We're just needy. That's who we are as mortal people. And God wants to meet our deepest needs. As you're discussing tonight, maybe start with what of these characteristics, these attributes of Jesus as he describes it in John chapter 10, which one of those do you most appreciate right now with maybe where your life is at? And then a second question, which aspect of the neediness of a sheep potentially is the most difficult for you to trust God with, for you to rest in him, where you're prone to just kind of go off and I want to do this myself, which is a common thing for all of us. So as you're reading through John chapter 10 and just exploring Jesus as the Good Shepherd, I pray you have an awesome discussion. Hi guys, for those of you looking ahead of where we'll be this coming Sunday, we come to another one of Jesus's big I am statements. Last week, of course, he was, I am the Good Shepherd. And what you're going to see in your passage tonight is the claim that Jesus makes, I am the resurrection and the life. Where he makes this statement is within one of the most famous stories in the New Testament. It's where he raises from the dead a man named Lazarus, who happened to be also a friend of Jesus. It's a fascinating story of how Jesus hears about the sickness of Lazarus. He waits for a while before he comes to Lazarus' village. And he has an encounter with Lazarus' two sisters, Mary and Martha. I think the thing to look for tonight as you read through this passage in John chapter 11 is Jesus' interaction with Martha. What does Martha ask Jesus? What was she expecting Jesus to do or hoping that he would do? And what does Jesus communicate to Martha that is really the core spiritual idea that he really wants her to understand, that he is the resurrection and the life? There's so much to see in this passage. Enjoy your time exploring it.